Welcome back to Blue Flag Bandits, the series that takes you through F1's backmarker teams from 2010 all the way to the present day, whenever that may be, in the very desperate hunt for points. And if you take a look out of the window, you'll see which team we're driving for here in 2011. It's Team Lotus. And if you look just by that little gaggle of photographers, the pit girls in the dresses might give away where we are. It is round number 9. It is my home race at Silverstone. And, well, it's not been a great season so far. We're 9 rounds in. And as you'll be able to see from this, we have 0 points. We are at least level on points with a Force India, both Williams, and, technically through better results, ahead of the likes of Glock, Liuzzi, Kartika, and D'Ambrosio, and Trulli, our teammate, who's stone dead last. But with some 19, if not more, points behind where we were in 2010. And realistically, we've maybe had 1 or 2 shots at the points this season that we've either thrown away through our own incidents, or strategy miscalls, or just through complete lack of pace. At the top end of things, it's Mark Webber that took the lead after Valencia by 4 points from Fernando Alonso, really hunting down, defending his 2010 crown in our timeline. Vettel there in third, being cut a little bit adrift of the front runners, and possibly beginning to look over his shoulder at Massa and Button. Lewis Hamilton in his own little bubble in 6th, well ahead of Petrov, Schumacher, Rosberg, Perez, Alguersuari, Heidfeld, Kobayashi, and Buemi, and now also Di Resta, who took a point in Canada. Constructors-wise, Red Bull ahead of Ferrari, but not by many. Just the 23 in it at the moment, with McLaren way behind on their own in 3rd, but way ahead of Mercedes in 4th and Lotus in 5th. There's Sauber, Toro Rosso, Force India with their solitary point. Then it's Williams, ourselves in 10th, Team Lotus, Virgin Racing, and HRT. So we're at least beating our lowest objective. Our lowest objective in these first 3 seasons is to finish top of the new teams. Obviously in 2010, I think we took 6th in the Constructors in the end, with a kind of decent run of results mid-season onwards, and that stunning victory at Abu Dhabi in the final round. At the moment, 9 rounds or 8 rounds in, onto round 9, I have a sneaking suspicion that we might be going for a 0-point season here. Inadvertently, of course, and Silverstone is not going to be a circuit that really benefits us, I don't think. I don't particularly like driving here, and I know that's sacrilege to say about the home of British motorsport, but I just could never really get into a rhythm. 2010 saw us have one of those races where we were beaten by our teammate, beaten by the other new teams, I think lapped by almost everybody, but managing to actually finish, unlike, say, Spain or Korea or Hungary. This season, though, we are outpacing the other new teams by quite the margin. We lapped Jarno Trulli in Valencia to continue our streak of lapping at least one other back marker car in every race since Catalonia. It might be that we continue that trend here, but I can't imagine that we're going to be very close to the immediate teams in front of us, the Williams, the Force Indias. But maybe, just maybe, after having a bad race in Canada, which was our absolute favourite circuit, I say was, it still is, but proved to be not the exception to the rule this season, and actually having a better one in Valencia, just feeling good, feeling kind of alright around the circuit. Yeah, alright, 17th, fine, but actually fighting with people on pace, getting things right for the most part. Maybe Silverstone will all of a sudden become a circuit where we're rapid, but I'm not holding my breath, put it that way. But let's get into practice. Drive around Silverstone in 2011, and while we do, we'll talk about the real world. 2011 British Grand Prix. Round 9 of the 2011 season saw the teams head to Silverstone for the British Grand Prix, and it saw the first running of the completely revamped Silverstone circuit. The changes were not without their controversy though, with the lowered pit lane being obscured from some spectators' views. This meant the pit allocation was reversed by Formula 1 management, with some believing the change was to benefit the F1 Paddock Club members. This race also saw the full ban on off-throttle blown diffusers that came into effect after the limitations placed at Valencia. And after experimenting with multiple DRS zones in Valencia and Canada, the FIA reverted back to a single DRS zone at Silverstone, placing it along the Wellington Straight down into the final part of the old layout. The race would also see the debut of a certain Red Bull junior driver by the name of Daniel Ricciardo in place of Narain Karthikeyan at HRT. Practice, as you'd expect in the UK, started as a wet affair, with the conditions only being dry enough for intermediate tyres. Webber topped the timesheets at the end of the first session, though stopped on track with a fuel problem. Schumacher was up there in second, with Barrichello in third. There was a further shower later in the session which caught out Kamui Kobayashi and crashed heavily on the pit straight. The rain then continued into practice 2, with conditions worse than the first, meaning that no drivers went out on track until over half the session had passed. A dry line would later appear, and Massa topped the timesheets with Rosberg second, and Kobayashi took third after a fantastic rebuild job from the Sabre team.
Your fastest in this session so far.
The final practice was mostly dry and saw Sebastian Vettel lead the way ahead of Alonso and Webber, though Webber would once again be hamstrung by technical issues, this time with his gearbox. Qualifying started in wet conditions, with all 24 drivers getting out on track immediately to attempt to set a lap at the optimal time. Alonso would manage to set the fastest time in Q1 despite taking a trip to the gravel, but it was the other end where there was a surprise, as Heikki Kovalainen made it through to Q2 for the second time in 2011, after Toro Rosso were caught out by the weather and were both eliminated alongside Trulli, both Virgin Racing cars and both HRTs. Ricciardo last, but only by half a second. The rain subsided between the first and second part of qualifying, which led to the remaining drivers using a variety of compounds, until Hamilton began setting lap times 2 seconds quicker than the intermediate runners. The big surprise of Q2 was that both Lotus Renaults were eliminated in 14th and 16th. Hyde fell just 1 place ahead of Kovalainen's Team Lotus car, while Schumacher ended the session 13th, the first time he qualified outside the top 10 at Silverstone ever. The final part of qualifying once again saw everybody heading out immediately with more rain on the horizon. Webber though would take pole ahead of Vettel, while the Ferraris would lock out the second row, Alonso ahead of Massa. Hamilton would only manage to take 10th place after setting his fast lap on used tyres before the rain came, while De Resta would take a fantastic 6th place, just behind Jenson Button. Race day saw difficult conditions, with parts of the circuit wet and parts dry, leading to everyone starting on intermediates. Hamilton and Perez both slid off track on their recon laps to the grid, Perez damaging his front wing, but both were able to take the start. Vettel managed to beat Webber into turn 1, while Button passed Massa for 4th. Hamilton charged through the lower end of the top 10, making up 4 places on lap 1, while the Lotus Renaults of Petrov and Heidfeld collided further down the order, and not for the first time in 2011, nearly taking Petrov out of the race. Everyone was attempting to prolong their early stint on the Inters, struggling with overheating on the now predominantly dry track. Button struggled as he lost 2 spots to Massa and Hamilton. Schumacher was involved in an incident with Kobayashi further back, spinning the Sauber around and getting front wing damage. The stewards then compounded the 7-time champions' misery by issuing a 10-second stop-go penalty. Kobayashi would suffer the same fate as Schumacher during the pit stops, penalty being issued for an unsafe release as he ran over a wheel gun. During these pit stops, De Resta was held up after Force India were expecting Sutil in first, and they had to react to get De Resta's tyres from the garage in a repeat of what happened to the team at the 2010 German Grand Prix. The delay brought De Resta out behind Buemi, and he clipped the Toro Rosso's rear wheel, resulting in a puncture for Buemi, who tried to limp back to the pits before pulling over. Vettel pitted for a second time, but there was an uncharacteristic error from Red Bull, and that saw Vettel delayed, allowing Alonso and Hamilton to jump the championship leader. Alonso would start to pull away while Vettel struggled to pass Lewis Hamilton, while Button retired after his last pit stop because the front right wheel nut was not correctly attached. Hamilton would be told by McLaren to reduce his pace with 10 laps to go to conserve fuel, which allowed Vettel and Webber to breeze past the Brit and actually put him in danger of being passed by Massa. As the race entered the final 2 laps, Webber was close enough to attempt to pass Vettel, despite Red Bull's instructions to hold position, though the Australian was unsuccessful. Massa caught up to Hamilton on the final lap and attempted an overtake at Vale, but was ushered off track by a defending Hamilton and finished just 0.02 of a second behind the McLaren. But it'd be Alonso who took the victory, Ferrari's only win of 2011 ahead of Vettel, Webber, Hamilton and Massa, while Rosberg took 6th. Perez took a career best at the time finish of 7th, while Heidfeld recovered to take 8th, Schumacher 9th, and Alguersuari once again made up for a poor qualifying to take the final point. What's the aim for qualifying on a home race? Silverstone's not a circuit I'm particularly strong at, something that was really demonstrated in 2010 by only being able to beat Degrassi, unlike what I thought earlier on, with the aid of the leaders lapping us, so I don't believe that we'll be anywhere remotely close to the established guys. Beating the other new team cars has got to be the aim, as it always is, really, in these first few seasons, though even that's going to be tough. Let's take the safe-ish bet of getting a P19 and hope we can steer clear of the other back markers through qualifying.
We don't think you'll have any trouble getting into the next session, so don't push too hard.
In the garage then for qualifying at the British Grand Prix, and once again the target hasn't quite dropped from the team yet, so they're anticipating it will make it through. I am probably already anticipating for exactly the same finishing position in qualifying as we've had for almost every race this season, but I mean, it felt alright driving out there. I'm not great at this circuit even now, but this is the first proper year of the new layout, I guess. 2010 was a bit of a transitional year, and still a few changes to be made to the circuit before it got to where it is today, and it felt okay, I guess. I think we're still going to be lacking pace, so let's get out there, run some laps, and see if we can squeeze our way into Q2. Let's take a look at that fastest lap in Q1 then. As you can see, once again already in the drop zone, but pushing as hard as we can. A little bit on the grass and a little bit wavy through the first couple of corners as we go into the village loop section. These corners are ones I never really am able to get right, even to this day, even in 2025. So the wide line doesn't really work, but does allow us to slingshot down the Wellington Straight. Very wide, running into what used to be the final couple of corners, but marginally on our best time. Still way off Rubens Barrichello though. This car really lacking the pace. I am really lacking the pace. As we head down towards Cops, having to just take a dab of brake, car running wide, waiting to get back on the power before we can absolutely go for it through Maggots and Beckett's. Again, this complex, somewhere you can just drift the car wide, very much like I'm doing there. And we're down on our best time at the end of the second sector, but miles off Rubens Barrichello. Don't hang straight towards Stowe. Get it stopped nice and early, get it turned in, still way off the apex, but able to get on the power nice and early on exit, into the final couple of corners of the lap. Knowing that we might be able to just shave a few tenths off, but we're not getting anywhere near anybody. Bounce along the curb to the end. Remain 19th. But improve just slightly.
Bad luck, we're in 19th place.
Once again, out in Q1, here in Britain, and would you look at that? We are 19th position, knocked out with Adrian Sutil, Liuzzi, D'Ambrosio, Glock, Trulli and Kartikayan. 5.7 seconds off the guys at the front, and some 3.5 seconds off Barrichello. It's probably the largest gap we've had qualifying wise for ever, I think. Such is the lack of confidence I've got driving around Silverstone. So this could be one of those races that really sees us just kind of, I don't know, milling around at the back. We're actually not much faster than the guys we're racing, so we might have an interesting race. We haven't been out-qualified or out-raced by any of the other new teams this season, which is a much better record than 2010, but the points record in 2010 was better, so swings and roundabouts, I guess. This could, in theory, be the day that it happens. But let's get over to the race and see what we can do at Silverstone. Here we are then, in the garage for the British Grand Prix of 2011, and as you can see, the rain has fallen. It's intermediate conditions, 40% chance of rain, which we thought might be the leveler back in Canada, and it didn't necessarily work out like that for us, and we are so far off the pace here at Silverstone. I'll show you what I mean just as we get to the grid. Fernando Alonso took pole from Lewis Hamilton, Vettel in third, then Webber, Massa, Button, Rosberg, Petrov, Heidfeld, Schumacher, top 10. The same top 10 it's been for practically every race bar, possibly China. Watch Heidfeld dropped it about 12th at the end of the first few corners. There's Alguersuari, Buemi, Di Resta, Kobayashi, Maldonado, Barrichello, Perez with a disappointing 17th place for him. And then it's Sutil who got knocked out in Q1, ourselves, Liuzzi, D'Ambrosio, Glock, Trulli, Kartikayan. And, well, I said I was going to show you, but you can obviously go back and look. We were 5.7 seconds off the fastest time in Q1, probably even further by the end of the qualifying session, and some 3.5 seconds off Adrian Sutil in 18th. So the intermediate conditions may be the leveler. It might actually pull us closer to the field. Otherwise, we're going to have a really long race fighting just the teams around us. We've not been out-qualified or out-raced by the other new teams, and we've not finished outside the top 20 at all. We've also lapped the new teams in every race, at least one of the cars, since Spain. Today might be the one that stops that run. I even think holding position could be a bit of a stretch. But that's what we're going to gun for, I think. I think we've got to aim for just holding 19th. Just trying to keep our dominance over the new team cars. Maybe hope for some shenanigans. Maybe see what we can jump off the line. And if the rain continues, intensifies or whatever, we might be able to move forward. But with it being a 40% chance, I'd assume it'll stop fairly early doors. But let's get out there to the fields of Northamptonshire for the 2011 British Grand Prix. Alonso, Hamilton front row, then the two Red Bulls. There we are, P19. Trulli a couple of rows back in 23rd. Not got the pace here.
Last race we finished mid-table. We need to try and do better than that. Let's give this 100%.
Engineer Andy trying to make us push us forward. There was a short hole, away we go, and once again, as usual, good start off the line here. Past Adrian Sutil. Before we get to turn one, we're fighting with Perez. Everybody sort of backs up. We bump the back of Paul Di Resta's Force India. Everybody just really taking their time here to a point where we're right up behind the Toro Rossos. We'll actually dive between them. Then dive bomb Heidfeld. Yep, it's a corner cut. But it's not telling us to give the spot back, so I'm not gonna. Not gonna take the opportunities when they come. Heidfeld tries to come at the inside. Taps his front wing. Should really let him back pass, but that's going to be difficult now. Buemi on his inside. Briefly into the top 10. I'm going to say briefly because I can't imagine we're going to stay here for long as I run wide through Cops. There goes Heidfeld. He can have the place back now.
Okay, we've lost a position. Keep close and maybe we can take it back.
I cannot see a thing in the spray. Buemi there. Maldonado having a look as well. Going to be in the middle of the two of them, I think, down into Stowe. Buemi on the inside. Really well driven by the Swiss driver. Roll off the brakes and nearly get back past the Toro Rosso. 12 at the end of the first lap. It is, as usual, in the early stages of a race, a bit of a train behind me. Losing the back of Buemi rapidly. Straight line advantage that they've got. Obviously they've got Kurz as well, so they can get on the battery. A little wide. Just saw Maldonado's front wing and there he goes. Wiggling a little out and he bumped Wales. The braver one into Cops, that's fair enough. Leaves the door in for Kobayashi a touch. Back out of it into Margot's and Beckett's.
We expect the rain to stop in around 15 minutes time. 15 minutes.
A little wide trying to defend Kobayashi. Keep him behind. Rain expected to stop in 15 minutes. He will definitely be running on a dry track. So we're definitely going to need to take that first stop to Inters before we can move to dries. Run a little wide, clip the gravel. A bit tight. And the old start finish straight. Kobayashi's going to look to the inside at Cops, but brave enough to make the move. Kind of tricks me into going too deep though.
Focus, we can get that place back.
Oh, and then run wide through there. Al-Bashwari's going to go now as well. Right in the slipstream. Didn't see a thing through the spray, but we get back up the inside at Stowe. Run a bit wide into the village loop, but Bashwari not diving up the inside. It feels like this is all going to be very much in vain because the rain stops and we move to a dry track. They are so much quicker than I am. Wide on entry, Al-Gashwari will up and under. Really well done there actually. Take a little bit too much of the next corner. Get back at the inside of the Spaniard. Yes, I can.
We're running just ahead of where we expected to be. Keep pushing.
Sutil has passed Al-Gashwari, following me through.
You need to pit in this lap.
Force India should have the pace on me here, but we force him into the outside, heading towards Stowe. You're going in. Still in with us. Williams back there as well. I guess that's of Rubens Barrichello. You can see what I mean about how slow this pit lane is. A couple of the guys further back will be coming in as well. We've got the HRT crew and I think the Virgin Racing crew out ahead as well as Sutil jumps us.
Go now.
We'll get out ahead of Barrichello. Not entirely sure how Sutil managed to get ahead, but he did.
We've fitted you with a new set of intermediate tyres. You have 2 stops remaining, barring any change in the weather.
Already disappearing off up the road.
Okay, we think the weather is going to improve. Rain is expected to stop in around 10 minutes.
Oh, Barrichello's lost his front wing. That was on the back of me.
We've heard on the radio that the car behind has handling issues. He's damaged his front wing.
A little wide, caught a little bit of gravel. Barrichello trying to send one as I was trying to get back on track. Completely removed his front wing there, though. Karthikeyan's gone past Barrichello.
Jarno
Well, he's
has just
damaged.
pitted. Jarno's in the pits.
Move up to
You're coming up to one of the 4
17th place. We've kept ahead of Paul de Resta. Can't imagine that's going to be for very long. There he is. Going to be going to Inters again at the next stop. It's not going to be a move to dry just yet. Curve sent me wide, and now Terresta's definitely going to have a run. Is that a room though? Right there again. We'll just about hold the rest off because the AI will not make a move up the inside there. Well, our pace in the wet's not much better than our dry pace. It does feel like it's actually a little better than our dry pace because we're managing to maintain the gap back to our fellow back markers. I was expecting to...
We think that Sutil is due to pit soon, probably within the next couple of laps.
I was expecting to essentially just be fighting them at the back. We're sort of keeping with Force India, at least one of them. Or I think just where we're keeping him behind us. Anything else? Kashwari's been in, as is Perez. They'll both still jump me out of the pits though. Comfortably as well, there they are. Oh, that was a terrible line. This time de Resta's going to go and he'll be through.
We predicted we'd be 3 places above your current position. We need you to push harder.
Have a look at de Resta there though.
The weather's starting to clear. Let us know when conditions are right for dry tyres. Remember to pit this lap.
There are cars coming in, and I feel like they're probably going to move on to a dry tyre, so we're going to gamble on some options. We come from 18th place. The rest are carried on. Maldonado and Sutil came in, but they're way ahead of us. They'll be long gone even before we make it to our pit box. HRT are sending somebody in. Trulli's coming in as well. That's, again, the gap that we've got. It looks like, yeah, looks like the other crews had dry tyres. We've got the call at the right time. Barrichello there, I think, at the tail end on his own, also coming in. The first time we've experienced a bit of a pit exit glitch where the wheels disappear. Only noticed it on watch back in Monaco. Apparently we're still in the pits.
We've put a new set of the option tyres on the car. That leaves just one stop remaining.
Everybody's in now. Which will, I guess, for a bit anyway, stop us from getting lapped. Can't imagine we're going to remain on the lead lap in this race. We managed to in Valencia and we had pace for days there in comparison. It's Maldonado and Sutil in again. It appears that they are. We'll just about beat them out. If their AI went to inters rather than dries. I mean, De Resta's been in and got out that far in front of us. Probably, yeah.
Jarno is in the pits.
Could he win again as well? Weird going on as Maldonado weaves about behind us. Run wide through cops and through he goes.
Slightly down on where we expected to finish. Keep pushing.
I've seen weird pit glitches occur before. Hulkenberg,
the car ahead is holding you
Monaco
up. We
2010.
You're currently faster in sector 1.
He came in like every lap.
Maldonado's
in a
next.
row for
Line
about
him up for a
5.
pass.
Maldonado carries on, so maybe they just went back to intermediate tyres rather than dries. Who knows?
Looks like Maldonado will be pitting within the next 3
Adrian
laps.
Sutil's in again. Gained a place there. Was that De Resta?
The next car is one of the Williams.
Perez. Perez was a long way in front of us. 3B, I'll take it. He's very much in danger to everybody behind us now. With the exception of maybe our fellow back markers. Perez has taken 2.7 seconds out of us in 1 lap. Trying to just drive into the back of us, we weren't really moving. Run way through Stone, that will give him a massive open door for him to go into.
Don't forget, pit in this lap.
We're coming in this time by. We're going to put the primes on, I think, to try and go to the end. There's a Ferrari coming in behind us, so we were on the cusp of getting laps. Looks like all the leaders are coming in, actually. As Barrichello moves past Glock, but it also looks like everybody's coming in who's behind us on the road as well.
Go.
So out we go on the primes. We're going to get lapped pretty much instantaneously because there's our leader. Sutil goes by. Here comes D'Ambrosio.
You have no more scheduled pit stops, so look after your tyres.
I would assume that Sutil and D'Ambrosio are going to come in again. They just weren't able to because of cars in, although the rest was ahead of us. Give me a little breather.
You need to let the car behind you past. He's not racing you for position.
The way of Fernando in an awkward spot, but nice and clean and calm. D'Ambrosio now chasing me down the hanger straight. In goes Jerome D'Ambrosio. He jumps ahead because of how the pit entry is. I think Sutil's in as well.
There's one of the Ferraris ahead of you.
No. Who's in there? There was another car in the pit.
The car behind has got a new set of prime tyres fitted, going for a longer period between stops.
And why there? Barrichello only just going past D'Ambrosio. The other back markers all
Blue
going in
flag
again as well.
conditions. Let the car immediately behind through. You're not racing him.
Run wide to let Vettel through. Hamilton now as well. Getting away a little bit, but I think Sutil must have come in because we're all of a sudden up ahead of him. Wasn't really paying a huge amount of attention to who was in front. I thought he'd gone, scarpered up the road and was never to be seen again, but apparently did have to come in still. Sure there's a Lotus Renault behind
You need
us.
to let the car behind you past. He's not racing you for position.
And it is. Vitaly Petrov in 4th place. He's having a great season.
Alonso's the fastest man on the track at the moment.
Top 4 cars, 4 different teams. Just an awful lot of time to Sutil that though, letting him through.
Blue flag conditions. Let the car immediately behind
Top
through.
5
You're not
cars,
racing him.
top 5 positions, 5 different teams as Schumacher about to come past me in the Mercedes. The Ferrari. Freudian slip there. And now Adrian Sutil right on our tail as we get on the gravel. I think I'm going to be able to hold him off, you know.
Massa's really going for it. He's just put in the best lap of the race so
Option
far.
tyres as well. Couple of laps remaining in this one. A couple of cars coming to lap us soon. That might help me out, but Sutil just glides around the outside. We'll try and go back up the inside, but it's not going to happen. And then I think Barrichello's hot on my heels. I don't have pace around Silverstone. I don't know what it is about this circuit, but it's not very quick around here.
You need to let the car behind you past. He's not racing you for
Nick
position.
Heidfeld. Heidfeld in P6. Look at that.
You need to find some speed. The car behind is closing in.
Just desperate for him to go by.
Good job. Back up to speed now. Blue flag no longer applies.
And there's Barrichello. Honestly, don't think I can hold Barrichello off for the final couple of laps. We run wide there.
You've picked up some marbles. Expect reduced grip
Barrichello
until you can
doesn't
wear them
go
off.
for it.
Stay on the racing line. Webber's really going for it. He's just put up a new fastest lap.
I'm going to take a look into comps. No, he's not. I thought he was going to take a look into comps, but then that's kind of spooked me a little wide. Comeback for Rubens, considering he's lost his front wing on the back of my car after the second pit stop. The first pit stop? Second? First pit stops. Having to go immediately in as we ran wide into Stowe. Should be able to keep the engine now in rich mix to the end. As we come to start our final lap of the race, it'll be another day where we don't quite get to do full distance.
You're dropping time to Barrichello. He's around 2 seconds a lap faster than you.
Much like possibly Malaysia, China, one of the two. We're in a final lap scrap with Barrichello over the minor positions. Been a fairly torrid British Grand Prix. Pace has been poor all the way through the weekend. Point where, for the most part, on-track battles were really not fought very hard as Fernando Alonso takes the victory. Though, just trying to hold Barrichello off down towards the end of the lap. Forced him to the outside at Stowe, keep it fairly tight there. But even the rain didn't really level things up for us. Just been a case of taking our normal jump from the start, then falling backwards, but we'll stay ahead of Barrichello and take P18. '18th place then, ahead of Barrichello, Glock, Liuzzi, D'Ambrosio, Trulli and Kartikayan. So that was me thinking that we weren't even going to be able to beat the new teams this weekend, and we did, eventually. The gap not as big back to them, I think, this time in terms of pace, but we do manage to beat them. We finish just in behind, I say just in behind, we finish in behind Sutil. But at the top end is Alonso that wins from Vettel, Hamilton, Petrov, Schumacher, Heidfeld, Buemi, Kobayashi and Button down in 9th, Webber down in 10th, Massa out the points. So that's going to really affect their championship. Alguersuari, Rosberg, Di Resta, Perez and Maldonado, the rest of the finishers. In the drivers, we remain 18th, still ahead of Barrichello. Just behind Sutil and Maldonado, really just hoping to grab a point or two to vault those guys. We're ahead though of Barrichello, Glock, Liuzzi, Kartikayan, D'Ambrosio and Trulli remains rooted to the bottom, much like he was actually in 2010 for us, I think. At the top end, that result moves everything around. Alonso now 20 points clear of Mark Webber, who's 11 clear of his teammate. Vettel has really drawn himself back into the scrap. With that result, Massa and Button level on points, but only now 10 ahead of Lewis Hamilton, who's brought himself back into play for that scrap. They've got a bit of a gap to Petrov, Schumacher, Rosberg, Heidfeld, Perez, Kobayashi, Alguersuari, Buemi, and Di Resta, who are the rest of the point scorers. In the constructors, we remain P10, just ahead of Virgin Racing and HRT, and just in behind Williams and Force India. At the top end, there's a 17-point gap now between Red Bull and Ferrari. that might actually be a fight for the Constructors' Crown. McLaren some way off in P3 ahead of Lotus, Renault, who are only 2 ahead of Mercedes, so that scrap for 4th is looking pretty tasty. Sauber, Toro Rosso and Force India taking the rest of the points this season, and I kind of knew Silverstone wasn't going to be very good. It's not a circuit I enjoy, at least not in Formula 1. I think I've probably had a better time in GTs or other cars. Don't know what it is, just cannot get the flow for this place right, and it really does. It really does show in our complete lack of pace, but we beat our objective, I guess. That's something. We weren't just scrambling with the new teams at the back on our own as I thought we would be, and we did at least manage to beat an established car in Rubens Barrichello, although I think that was possibly due to a victim of circumstance in removing his front wing after the first pit stops and then zoning in on the back of the car at the end. Next up now, we return to Germany and to the Nürburgring. Obviously the Grand Prix layout, not the infamous Nordschleife. For a circuit I've not driven in Formula 1 for a long time. Obviously one that's no longer on the calendar, was on a rotational basis with Hockenheim around this time as well. So this is one that we're going to see a couple of times, I think, before the end of the German Grand Prix in 2019. It's going to be quite an interesting circuit to kind of get our head round again, and maybe, just maybe, unlikely as it is, it might be one that we can thrive at, perhaps. It's tight, narrow, twisty, difficult to overtake. So it might be somewhere we can defend a position from. But that hunt for points is still looking pretty desperate as we head into the back half of the season. But hopefully you'll join me for Germany and the rest of this year, because at the moment I think we could go 19-0 for points, which would mean the last points that we picked up was round 19 of 2010, and then we moved to HRT in 2012. So it might be a while before we see points once again. But you know what to do by now. Like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Join me for the next one. But in the meantime, take care. See you soon.